Okay, please wait a moment while we get started. Okay, guys, I'm going to share with you my screen. Please take a look. If you have some questions, please wait until after I finish presenting my screen and we can take some questions at the end, okay? Please open your book to page 242. It looks like this. Now, this page, let's let Celia in, and just a moment here. We'll wait for Celia to get in and get ready. Charles is here. He's running a little late. All right, Charles is back. Celia is back. Okay. All right, guys, page 242 is talking about informational essay. And why is this important? This is important because after you finish your interview, you are going to use the answers from your interview to write your informational essay. Okay? Don't need to start writing it yet. This weekend, before Monday, what I want you to do is I want you to finish your interview. So I want you to find the person that you're going to talk to, ask them the questions that you have for them, and write down some information about their answers. You will use what you write down to write your informational essay. Okay? So here we have information about the informational essay. It's got 3 different parts. It has a title, a main idea, and some details. Okay, it says informational essays include a title, main idea, and details. The information can be organized in a way that describes the topic. Okay, organize is the way that you put the informational essay together. For example, the title is first, then comes the main idea, and last are the details. The main idea lets you know what it's going to be about, and the details talk more about the main idea. Okay? So let's take a look. I'm going to read this to you, and I want you to think about how this can be an example for what you're going to write after you finish your interview. Mr. Kwan and his friend Joe. Mr. Kwan's best friend was named Joe. Joe lived next to Mr. Kwan. They walked home from school together. Then they played with their yo-yos in Mr. Kwan's backyard. Mr. Kwan and Joe are still friends today. Okay, great. It's not very long, but it's a nice little essay. Remember that an essay is some writing about one topic. This topic is about Mr. Kwan and his friend Joe. And an informational essay gives you some information. Now, if you ask your father for your research, let's say for your interview, you're going to ask your father. And let's say your father's name is Jimmy. And let's say you ask your father about somebody who was important to him, and your father tells you about his neighbor Fred. Okay? Then your title could be My Father Jimmy and His Neighbor Fred. And it could say Jimmy's neighbor was named Fred. Fred lived next to Jimmy. Okay, and then you could give me some information about Jimmy and Fred and why they were good friends and why Jimmy was important, why Fred was important to Jimmy. Okay, that's my example. And this is an example here. Let's talk about this example a little bit more. The title tells you what it is, and the main idea tells you what it's about. I want you to think about what kinds of questions the interviewer could have asked to get the answers that they used to write this page. Okay? The person they talked to was Mr. Kwan. That's the older person that they talked to. So maybe they said, Mr. Kwan, I'm a student in English class and I need to do an interview. So I want to ask you some questions. My first question is, who was important to you when you were young? And they said, oh, that's easy. My best friend Joe was important to me. Where did Joe live? Oh, easy. Joe lived next to me, in the house next to me. What did you guys do together, you and Joe? Well, it's we did a lot of stuff together. We walked home from school together. After we got home, we played with our yo-yos in my backyard. We had lots of fun times together. Okay, are you and Joe still friends today? Sure, we're still friends today. I call him sometimes, and sometimes he comes to visit me. So those are the kinds of questions that could give you the answers that you could use to write an essay like this. Okay, I'm going to open the microphones now, or turn on the microphones, allow you to open them, and I want to see if anybody has any questions before I talk about the next page. Okay, Lewis, Charles, Jackson, any questions? Jessica,
No.
Hannah, Rosie, Mimi, any questions? Going back to you,
No.
Charles, what's your question?
Who was your best friend when you were little?
Great question, Charles. My best friend's name was Caleb, and he was also
What?
my best friend's name was Caleb. C-L-E-C-A-C-A-L-E-B, Caleb. Caleb was also in my school. He was my classmate. And Caleb and I knew each other since kindergarten. And we went through school together. Caleb and I were very good friends. Sometimes I would stay over at his house and he would stay over at my house. We did
Are
many
you
things.
still friends with him?
I am still friends with him. I don't see him very often because he lives in America, but when I was first living in Taiwan, I invited him to come to Taiwan, and he lived in Taiwan from about 2008 until 2012, I think. So when I moved to Taiwan and I was really having a fun time living in Taiwan and I liked living in Taiwan, I talked to Caleb and I said, "Hey man, you want to come to Taiwan? It's a lot of fun here. Maybe you can enjoy living in Taiwan like I do."
So did he like it?
Yeah, he liked it. He did like it. He actually met a girl that was his girlfriend, and later that girl went to the United States with him, and now that's his wife, and they both live back in the United States now.
So his wife is Taiwanese.
His wife is Taiwanese, that's right. But we're
Because
still
she
very,
met him.
she met him, they met each other here in Taiwan. Yep, because I invited him to come to Taiwan because we were good friends, and I thought he would
So
also like,
because of you, he had a wife.
kind of, kind of, you can say that. Maybe if he didn't come to Taiwan, maybe he would have met another wife. Maybe he would have a different wife. But
Oh.
his wife is Taiwanese partly because of me. That's true, because I invited him to come to Taiwan. We were also in Boy Scouts together. So when we were young, we did lots of camping and doing things outside in nature together. We had lots of fun. Oh, and I see your hand up, buddy. What's your question, my friend?
Do you have wife?
I do have a wife, Owen, and I met my wife in Taiwan. But my wife is not Taiwanese. My wife is from South Africa, and she's also an English teacher.
What? Really?
Yeah, really.
Wow, that's
My wife
cool.
teaches at an elementary school also. She's an elementary English teacher, just like me.
So,
But she's from South Africa, and we're from very different places. But probably if I did not come to Taiwan, I would not have met her. So in many ways, Taiwan has been very, very good to me. Taiwan let me meet my wife. It let me have many fun experiences, and I've met many wonderful and beautiful people in Taiwan, including you guys. So I'm very grateful to Taiwan. I'm very thankful for the country of Taiwan. Any questions, guys? Any more questions? Okay. Um, so what were we talking about? You got me thinking about other stuff. Yeah, so let's see. Oh, informational essay. Yes, yes, yes. So you're going to ask these questions to somebody who's important. You're going to ask these questions to the older person that you're going to interview, and you're going to find out some things about who was important to them. Remember, because why are we doing this? Well, remember our topic is about the past, right? And I see Owen is holding up his notebook. Is that your notebook? Oh, that's your workbook. Well, let me talk about your notebook really quickly. I want to remind you that I want you to take okay, I'm going to share my screen again so I can't see all of your videos. So if you have a question, you got to raise your hand. Um, Back here on this page, we wrote down the questions. And I asked you to write these 5 questions and one more that you make up. These questions, this is part of your homework today, so please listen. These questions, I want you to take them from your student interactive and write them in your notebook. And when you write them in your notebook, I want you to make some space between the questions. Why? Because that space you will use to write your answers. And that's what I want to talk about now. I want to talk about taking notes during your interview.
Mr. Shooter,
Yes, sir. What's your question?
can I write one question on the book and and other 5 write on the notebook?
I guess you can. That's okay. I think it's better if you write them all in the notebook than they're all together in one place.
Okay.
So here's some tips or some good ideas, helpful ideas for taking notes when you have your interview, okay? Please look and listen. Number 1, write your questions before the interview because you want to be ready. You're asking somebody to share time with you and to answer your questions, so you need to be ready so that you don't waste their time. Now, even though you write your questions before the interview, I want you to remember that it's very possible that um, you could have more questions as you do the interview. For example, Charles was asking me some questions earlier, and maybe because the way that I answer, the answers that I give him some ideas about other things that he wants to know, right? Because he's listening carefully to me and he hears my answer, and that makes him think of a new idea and a new question. So I want you also to be prepared to ask other questions during your interview that you didn't write down. So I want you to come to the interview with those 6 questions, but also listen carefully. And if the person says something that you think is interesting and you want to know more, ask them another question about it. Okay, that's usually what will happen in an interview. Now, for your notes, you're also going to do number 2, add some space between your questions. If you see here on this page, there's 2 questions, and after each question, there's a little space. That space is for writing some answers down. Now, when you write answers, you want to do number 3, write important words and phrases instead of sentences. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, important words and phrases. Phrases are like 2 or 3 words together. It's not a whole sentence, but it's more than one word. Now, why would you not write complete sentences? There's a very good reason. Because if we're doing an interview and I'm speaking to you and I'm giving you the answers in speaking, I can speak a lot faster than you can write. Even somebody can speak faster than I can type on the computer, and I can type much faster than I can write. So you don't want the person to have to slow down too much when they're talking, but you need to write as much as you can. So it's a good idea that you don't write sentences because those take a long time. You're going to write down the important words, and then later, when you make your informational essay, then you can take those important words and use those important words to make sentences. Let me give you an example, okay? Number 2 says, what did you like to do together? Oh, it's so many things. My friend Caleb and I, we did many things together. You know, we went to school. We were in Boy Scouts. Sometimes after school, we went to the park to play. We really loved playing video games together. We had a lot of fun. Okay, my answer just then was actually a lot of words. If you write down everything that I just said in that answer, it's a lot of words. And it's too much and too fast for you to write down everything together when you're listening. But what you can do is you can write down some of the important words. So, for example, I would write down many things. I would write went to school, went to park, or maybe just I write park, or video games, fun. And those words have the information that gives my answer, and then I'm going to use those later and build my sentences from those so that I can write my research, my informational essay. Okay, I'm going to stop my sharing. I'm going to open it back up for questions again.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Do you guys get me? Do you follow?
Yeah,
Do you understand?
I understand.
All right, Ethan, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are you eating your lunch?
No.
Are you eating a snack?
Yeah.
What's the snack, Ethan?
I cannot tell you.
What? Why can't you tell me? It's a secret snack? Oh my goodness. We see you chewing and it looks delicious. We're just wondering what it is.
Teacher,
Yes.
your screen is not clear.
What do you see, Lewis?
I have seen tree.
You see trees.
Yes.
Maybe I'm in the forest.
Many trees. Yes. Yeah, many.
All right. I'm talking to
I
you
can
from the
do trees.
Lewis, I'm in the forest now. Do you hear the
Me
birds?
too. I'm in the forest.
Oh my goodness, you guys are all in the forest.
Me too.
Playing with the forest animals. All right, listen, silly monkeys. I gotta tell you about your homework, okay? And then I want to talk a little bit about the test. So first of all, the homework. Next class is Monday, and Monday we'll probably talk a little bit more about this research project, the interview, and the writing for the interview. So your homework is write your questions in your notebook. Find some time to interview the person, ask them the questions, write some words down for the answers, okay, and finish the interview. That's your homework. If you have more time and you want to do more practice, go onto the internet and do some of the leveled readers. Okay?
Okay. I'm doing it now.
Okay, secret snack boy. The next thing is about the tests. I hope to give you your test on Friday, next Friday. But I'm still thinking about how is the best way I can give it to you. Because normally I would give it to you in person. So I'm still thinking about how do I want to do it. I think I know what questions and what reading and what questions I want to give you, but I want to look at it a little bit more to be sure what I want to give you for the test. But I also want to think about how I'm going to give you the test because we're going to do it online and it's probably going to have some reading and then you answering some questions about the reading. So I want to think about what is the best way I can give the test to you, okay? So on Monday and a Wednesday, we will probably just have class and we'll talk about our interviews and how that's going, and maybe we'll start to do the writing for the interview. But that example that we looked at today on page 242 is a really good example. And when you write up your interview essay, it will look something like that. So that page will be a good example for you to think about how you can write your informational essay from your interview answers. Okay, I said so much today. Does everybody understand?
You're talking with a big mouth?
Well, I'm talking loud because my AC is on and my AC is right above the computer. It's a little bit noisy. So
Why don't you turn on the volume?
No, it's not about the volume, it's about the microphone. I'm talking loud, so I hope you can hear me because I know my AC is a little bit noisy.
Okay.
You got it?
You turn it off.
No.
Well, I could turn it off. It'll get a little warm in here. I'll turn it off. Can you hear me more now?
No.
Is that the same or is that quieter?
No.
All right. Well,
Quieter.
you know, Charles, I see you here today, and it makes me think of something that I was going to tell you. I was actually going to give it to you, show it to you next week,
Teacher.
but we have class online. Mr. W was cleaning his classroom, and he gave me a bunch of stuff from his classroom that he wasn't using. And one of the things,
What?
yeah,
A
some
tooth?
things. Let me finish. He was cleaning his classroom, and he gave me some games and different things that for the classroom that he's not using anymore in his classroom. And one of the things was some cards about planets and about the solar system, and they're really cool. They have pictures and they have a lot of like information about stars and planets and things like that. And I thought,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I thought you would like to.
The solar system.
I
Can
thought you would like to
can
take
you
a look
let
at
me
them.
see it?
Yeah, I was
Oh.
hoping to show you next week, but unfortunately we're online again. I don't have them with me right now. They're at the school. So hopefully after next week, maybe we can come back to the school and I can get a chance to show them to you before our vacation.
How about do you want some sound effects?
Sure. Let's have a couple sound effects before we go today. I don't hear them.
Teacher. Teacher.
Yes.
But did I have meow? Did I have 25 minutes? Meow.
Oh, sounds like a cat.
Our class have a cat.
Hey guys, listen, I want to just check with you really quickly before we go because it's almost time I have to give you a break. Are there any questions about the homework or the research or the interview?
No. No?
Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okie dokie, artichokes.
Bye
Bye
All right, guys.
bye.
I'll see you later, alligators. I'll see you on Monday, okay?
bye. Bye
Teacher,
bye. Bye bye, Mr. Suter.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye bye.